other areas of the province, or maybe even just increasing the present geographical area. This is not a great departure from what we're doing now, other than it expands everyone who is mobile, not just construction trades, which is what we're doing now. We currently have 49 of our locals obtain municipal business licenses and move out of our area. So we don't see a real great patch. I think most of the areas of the sub-trades that are coming from out and working in our area are already captured in what we're doing. So we would only be looking at the additional mobile licenses, such as mobile veterinary clinics or that type of business. We definitely think that sub-trades in construction make up the bulk of the mobile business licenses. Just this morning, I received the actual draft that the ministry had put forward and reviewed it fairly quickly, and there's not very many changes beyond what you have in the package. Most of these were geared at bringing the signatories at the back as an appendix, bringing them actually into the bylaw. The actual wording of the bylaw didn't change much, so we'll have that available for you before my meeting. I guess what we're looking for is a recommendation from council to proceed with this. We don't see that it will be a great problem for us to move forward with.
Thank you. We're looking for a motion. Councilor Flynn?
Yeah, I'll move
that motion. I'll move the motion. Wait for a second right now.
Sorry, Councilor Larson already has.
I do it.
Moved by Councilor Flynn, seconded by Councilor Eliason. That is recommendation by staff. That we be signatories to this agreement.
Yeah, the city participated in the pilot.
That's what I said.
That's what I heard.
So speaking to that, the whole single business license initiative that the province seemed to want to put in really, really quickly without a lot of consultation has been slowed down slightly, and they're willing to test pilot this, and I think it's really important that we participate in those, not far from what we were already doing in the North Okanagan, because I'd just like to see, I really don't think the single business initiative provincially makes sense. I think it makes more sense geographically, and I think this is a good time to test it and see how it works.
Councilor Eliason?
From quickly reviewing the information as well last night, I wasn't through as far as this proposal. The loss in revenue that we'll get from made up by a $50 increase in business licenses, is that correct?
We're not talking about a that's the businesses that are mobile currently, we're already in a loss. We've already incurred it.
Okay.
And again, just to clarify, this is only for mobile businesses. This is not a single business license program that was proposed. What we're looking at here is mobile contractors, but mobile. As we all know, the construction industry is the most mobile of all business. So I just don't see that very.
And we won't lose revenues from the...
All judgment, we are not talking.
All in favor? Motion is carried. Motion to go on camera.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Flynn, that pursuant to Section 91 of the Community Charter, the Development and Planning Services Committee moving camera.
All in favor?
I think we've got a good start on it is to get a copy of the letter, and there's sort of like a petition, actually.
Sure.
Petition in council.
Yep.
And then that would give you a good idea about which residents you might want to visit. It probably will just make things for a public hearing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Councilor Flynn?
Thank you. The OCP, this is medium density, so I'm in favor of the rezoning. Again, it's all the amenities that we talk about that make sense for a higher city, with the park, with the tennis courts with the schools. So I'm in favor, and it looks like, not that they'll be, everybody's definition of affordable is different, but it looks like based on the size, there will be reasonably priced properties, so I'm in favor. And I agree that the concerns about the storm sewer and that this isn't going to negatively impact an already less than ideal situation is important for the developer before the public hearing.
Councillor Elias?
Thank you, Your Worship. I agree that we have to look at the storms. We can talk about density and all the reasons why it's good, but this development isn't going to necessarily add potential to the region. And I think by putting in a storm sewer that isn't there now, it will decrease the amount of water and perhaps alleviate some of the situation on first, if that's in the catch basin should help to relieve some of that pressure maybe on lot 22. So if there's a possibility, the last thing to maintain or keep some of the trees on the north side of the property. Trees are also a great, I guess, sucker out of water, and thus that's my engineering background. The tree is the great sucker out of water. Can't wait to write my first book about it. No, so I think we're going to be okay, and I'll move this forward to public hearing. Thank you.
All in favor? Motion's carried. Next up, 5.3.
Moved by Councillor Eliason, second by Councillor Idzon, that the bylaw entitled Fee Service Amendment Bylaw number 3653 be read for second and third time.
Manager Services.
Thank you, Your Worship. The purpose of the Service Amendment is to establish a latecomer processing fee to recover the cost from a developer for staff time required to research and prepare the latecomer and to collect and remit future latecomer payment entity properties down the line over the agreement. We did undertake a review of other communities, their fee structures. There are various fee structures out there. Some strictly a flat rate fee, some flat rate fee plus a variable cost per parcel, and some a fee plus a variable cost per service. At this time, we're bringing forward a proposal for a fee structure including a flat rate fee of $500 plus a $100 flat rate fee per parcel. The size of the development more closely.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew.
How many, you just like at our planning meeting, but how many developments would this have affected over the last year or two? Seems to me there weren't very many.
Your Worship, we've only had the one, and that's the Rick Island subdivision with the water main extension in the last 2 years.
Do you have to pay? Is it?
We didn't pay anything because there's nothing in the current fee for service file.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stay consistent, and I think sometimes, I know there's a cost attached, but how much do you really want to pass on? I'm just every day looking at how few lots there are. It's something that increases, and maybe it's one thing that being when things are so crude now with very little ability to find a lot, it's just putting more pressure on people who want to have a home.
Councillor Flynn.
Yeah, using the Nyland property as an example, the $100 flat fee plus, he would pay based on every $100 each of the lots that he developed himself. How this is working? Or would work? If that.
Your Worship, what he would pay is each lot that's in the latecomer agreement. So only the ones that are benefiting is what he would pay, which I believe there were 14.
It was 14, so he would have paid potentially
$1,900.
$1,900 in this. I don't think that's going to decide whether or not a developer goes forward, and I think our staff doing it for nothing isn't probably fair, so $100 isn't really a big part of the lot cost, so I'll vote in favor.
Our staff would be doing it for nothing. Our taxpayer would be picking up the bill.
Well, that's what I mean.
Councillor Elias.
Your Worship, I think what we're missing is the fact that, contrary to what Councillor Kentel said, perhaps this will encourage developers to go ahead and, by having a uniform latecomer fee, maybe making it easier and more streamlined for them to go ahead and do elements where they otherwise wouldn't, where they know that they can recoup their costs. And perhaps in the instance in Glen Eden, maybe it would encourage somebody who says, well, development, like Mr. Aslef just said, a big cost is our stuff. We can recoup some of that cost at a later date, and we're